Well, good Monday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky, and God, do we have a great show for you today. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll pretty much get into everything. We got football, we got baseball, we got some random ass stories over the weekend, and then we'll have Chef Hannibal.
Yes, absolutely.
That is the best name I've seen for a chef.
And we're going to leave it at that, too. We're not going to tell you his first name.
But we also have a pair of tickets to give away to Bakersfield Brunchfest all week. It's coming up this Saturday. It's finally here.
Absolutely. And as I've been telling you,
best event of the year.
If you are looking for something just to give yourself a little bit of brownie points for you and the missus, this is the event to take her to. I am not joking. Unlimited mimosas, unlimited brunch bites. You're going to want to go to this. And just so everybody knows, Chef Hannibal is from Firestone Grill right across the way here. He'll be showing up here at 8:30 today to let us know what Firestone we bring to Brunchfest, what you can look forward to there. I won't say what it is. We already know what he's bringing in, but I'm going to leave it up as a surprise for you guys.
If you'd like to win some tickets,
absolutely.
You can call or text in anytime throughout the show, 661-842-2000, and I'll throw your name in a hat, and we'll pick it when Chef Hannibal is here. I'm going to just... I almost dressed like Hannibal this morning.
Honestly, I was kind of hoping you were after I saw the name. And I know a lot of people over at Firestone Grill. Good friends of mine worked there for a long time. I don't know if one of them still works there. My guy Garrett used to be the bartender over there. My guy Andrew was the manager for a long time. I think Andrew's still there. Could be wrong. But it's fantastic food. It is fantastic food. For those of you who are maybe Fresno folk that come down here, your what do they call it up there? The Doghouse, I believe, right there next to Fresno State. Same people, same food. It's fantastic across the board. Tri-tip sandwiches, probably best in town. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about their brunch options, which, trust me, you're going to want to taste this one. This sounds fantastic. When we got the text message yesterday, I am so excited. But let's talk about what happened in the world of sports this weekend, because I can promise you right now, we're not going to get to all of it. I apologize for you combat sports fans. We're going to have to take probably a day to develop on this whole UFC 320 stuff, because there's just so much that happened in the world of football and baseball over the weekend. We do not have enough time to get to everything. Let's start in the world of the NFL, where the morning games, we got half that were one-score games, and then the other half that were absolute blowouts that nobody probably watched. So let's turn down the blowouts real quick. Might as well start with the number one biggest blowout of the weekend. The Ravens losing to the Houston Texans 44-10. Now, granted, the Ravens outside of the Niners are probably the most injured team in football right now, especially the defensive side. They're absolutely demoralized by every injury they've had. Most of their top guys are out. I don't think that's really an excuse. We've talked about this team being the best team on paper all offseason long, and honestly, coming in now 1-4. We talked about this in the offseason Spark, and I know a lot of people are talking about it as well today. But we've been so critical the last couple of weeks of guys like McDaniel and a lot of these other teams that aren't starting very well. Is John Harbaugh in the same boat? Should we not be questioning John Harbaugh's ability to coach right now?
I would.
Everybody's questioning Zach Taylor because of losing Joe Burrow, and have lost Joe Burrow how many times since he's been the coach?
3 times.
At least.
3 out of 6.
So we're so quick. Chris Canty, you're so quick to come for Zach Taylor's job. Why is no one talking about Harbaugh?
Exactly.
Why is nobody saying, how can you not make any kind of adjustment being the head coach of this team for almost 2 decades now? And you can't figure out a way to make yourself competitive in the NFL, even with the guys you have as backups? I grant you, yes, backups are obviously worse than starters. We all know that.
That's why they're backups.
But what are your thoughts, my friend? I think that this game at least should warrant some questions.
I mean, we're looking at the most scored on defense, and I was surprised more of, because Harbaugh immediately was asked, is it the defensive coordinator? Do we need to part ways with the defensive coordinator? And he said, nope, we're not doing anything.
Going anywhere.
And I had the same question for you yesterday. Is it both the Harbaughs? Because I mean, even the Chargers, I know they started out hot, but they're not looking.
Jim, I think you give a little bit more leeway to because this is only his second year with the squad. 16 years with one team, and you've yet to reach the dance again since that first time with Joe Flacco and Ray Lewis and all these other guys. Again, I think that there has to be a question eventually of when does the levee break?
There's too much talent on that team
Yes.
to be 1-4.
There's too much talent on that team to have not won a Super Bowl or at least competed for one. I know you have to deal with the Chiefs, but we've all been seeing that it's come down to really you guys, the Chiefs and the Bills every year for the last, 3-4 years at least. And everybody wonders who's going to be the team to take the step. And it just seems that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are always that team to take that step. Does that not kind of seem a little off to people? I mean, on the roster side of everything, Baltimore has a better roster. So how are you not able to usurp the Chiefs, especially this year when the Chiefs at the time were just as bad as you, had way more question marks in terms of offensive output. And realistically speaking, when you look at what you guys had, I still am trying to wrap my head around how you lost that game last week. I get Lamar left in the third, but you should have been prepared for dang near everything, especially defensively. Coming into this game against Houston, who has had no success all year long. We've seen nothing but poor play from CJ Stroud, and we'll get to him in a second because he had a questionable comment after the game. But realistically speaking, is it the Ravens defense is just that bad this year? Each one of their losses, the other teams drop over 30 points on them. And this is a team that, again, we looked at on paper, you should not have that issue. So when does John Harbaugh really get thrown into the air here? That's always my question. Let's go to CJ real quick because this is what he had to say about his play whenever he actually gets a chance to throw a football.
All linemen did a great job, and that's where it starts. I think I'm one of the best when I get the time and I can deal it out. And our O-line did amazing this game. When that happens, Kels is calling a great game, and our receivers running really good routes. We've been getting better at practice every week, and I think that's where you see the growth. But yeah, it really starts with him.
244 yards, 4 touchdowns for the Houston Texans quarterback. And he's right. He's one of the best when he could actually get time to throw the football. But I can't necessarily blame the Houston Texans' woes on the offensive line solely.
Right.
Let's be honest here. You haven't exactly made the best decisions either at the quarterback position, and your running game has been completely lost.
It's just an easy thing to say when you win.
I know. And that's why I said that, when I listened to it and I was like, God, man, I would like to sit there and criticize him, but he's right. I mean, when the offensive line doesn't protect for you, we'll get to Miami here in a second because that's the main reason Miami lost, in my opinion. But
that's one of the few.
I mean, it's mind-boggling to me, though, that this Houston Texans team has had such issues getting the offense going in the first 5 weeks of the season. And, of course, this is the game they break out. And like I said, if you had asked me what game Houston would look great in the beginning of the season before this season ever started, I never would have put down the Ravens as this game.
Yeah, if they would have told us 5 weeks ago that they're going to put up 40-something points on the Ravens
I'd
defense,
call you a
you're
liar.
like, yeah, okay.
I'd say, no. Clearly, that's the other way around, right? The Ravens dropped 40 on the Houston Texans. No.
So I mean, the main question is, that every other show is talking about is the Ravens are out of the playoffs. I think the Ravens got deeper problems.
I think so too, and honestly, I think it all stems to who's at the leadership position. I don't question John Harbaugh's ability to coach. That's not what I'm saying. But I do question his ability to turn this team around. And is he the right guy to get the Ravens over the top? We've talked about this about many other coaches in many other sports, especially basketball. Sometimes you have a coach that gets you right there. Mark Jackson is a great example for the Golden State Warriors. He got you right there with Steph and Clay, but he wasn't going to be the coach to get you past it. That's why you fired him and went and got Steve Kerr. So maybe the Ravens are in the same boat. Maybe you have the roster, just not the guy, just not the leader. And honestly, I hate to say that about a Harbaugh because, I mean, I love both of the Harbaughs. I do. But when it comes down to a season like this, and the disappointment the Ravens have technically left with in the playoffs the last couple years, you have to at least consider the fact that John Harbaugh's time there might be up here pretty soon, only because you haven't really done anything. If we're going to say the same thing about guys or about the coaches in Buffalo, the coach in Cincinnati, the coach in dang near every other team that can't get over the top of the Kansas City Chiefs, Harbaugh has to be in the same conversation. That's all I'm saying.
I would.
Opposite side of this coin, though, has Houston figured it out offensively? Do you think this is the game they needed to kickstart themselves, and we're finally going to see them claw back up into the competitive nature of the AFC South, led by the, for real, I'm going to start saying it, they're for real, Indianapolis Colts?
I mean, it's definitely a kickstart. I mean, it definitely helps with just for the team building. I mean, a big win is something that, they could build off of. I don't know if they're that close to what we've seen with the Colts, but I mean, obviously the Colts played the Raiders. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting, I will say this is going to be one of the divisions I circle and I'll be keeping an eye on, because I would expect Houston to be the Houston we expected. I'm surprised it took this long to get it out of them, but hopefully they can put it keep it in the drive and keep it rolling. My thing is the Colts the real deal? And I know Daniel Jones, his name just kind of questions everyone when we get into the conversation with the Colts, but I mean, they look good.
It's Danny. I mean, again, is Daniel Jones the next in line of quarterbacks that just needed a new home in order to be successful? Probably. But at this point, I'm going to say the Colts are legit. They should be undefeated. If you really look at it, they are one dumb wide receiver away from being undefeated right now.
And that's another thing we talked about a little bit last week with the trade deadline coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. That might be a team that is up for sale. They might go after a receiver or, a couple defensive guys, because that Colts defense, I think, is one player, maybe 2 players away from being a top 5 defense.
Oh, I agree.
If not already.
If you can get a good pass rusher in there somewhere, you would have a formidable. Well, they already have a formidable defense. I shouldn't say that, but they would have
just to get over that
defense.
Get over, because you're looking at now teams like who we're expecting, who knows how this season's going to turn out, but teams like Buffalo, teams like Kansas City, when we expect them to be at 100% in December, barring any injuries. But I think the Colts could be up in that conversation if they get, maybe one more playmaker on both sides of the football.
I agree with you. I think they got the guy at running back. They have hard for me to say that he's the best running back in the league, but Jonathan Taylor's definitely one of them.
Oh, yeah.
They got a guy at receiver with Pittman. I've always liked him. I think Danny, if he can just stay consistent and just keeping the ball within the grasp of the offense, he'll be fine.
And they struck gold at tight end with the rookie.
They really did. Tyler Warren is a stud. And honestly, again, although blowing out the Raiders 40-6 this weekend, 40 unanswered points between the second and third quarters of this game, I know the Raiders are struggling. The Raiders have so many issues right now, and that's the next question I'm going to pose before we go to break as well, and I want to hear from Raider fans on this one. But I think the Colts are real. I think the Colts are for real. I think they've done enough to show us in the first quarter of the season that they can compete against top-tier teams. And to be honest with you, until I see the team completely implode. And I don't mean like they lose 28-27 to somebody that's just better than them. I mean, get absolutely blown out of the water, losing by 30. I'm going to have to say that they're at least going to be competitive for the spot up, or at least for the playoff spot. We're going to see what happens with the Jacksonville Jaguars tonight, if they can keep up, because they got the Chiefs. They're 3-1 right now and are doing way better than people expected, including myself. This Colts team impresses me every single time I watch them play. I mean, Daniel Jones yesterday, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Taylor had 3 touchdowns on 17 carries. The defense didn't let the Raiders score at all in the red zone. Raiders went 0 for 4. That's impressive no matter who you're playing, especially in the NFL. So realistically, they're doing everything right to be a successful team. I think that they came into this just really angry that no one was giving them respect at all. And to be honest with you, This is one of those times where I'm just eating crow. I'm saying it right now.
Me
This
too.
is a team that I did not expect to do well. The next 4 weeks of their season, Arizona 2-3, Chargers 3-2, who are on a downslide right now. God only knows they could be 3-3 by the time they play them. Tennessee Titans barely escape Arizona Cardinals. They're 1-4. And then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 3-1 right now, who have essentially almost thrown away all 3 of those wins. So if you're looking at the Colts, it's going to be hard to catch them right now. They could be 8-1, 9-1 by the next time we talk about them, halfway through the season. And that's saying something. On the opposite end, you got the Las Vegas Raiders, whose offensive line is just demoralized. You didn't have Brock Bowers during this game, which showed. And to be honest with you, Geno Smith now was his 4th game with multiple interceptions, 3rd game at least.
Not looking good.
It's not looking good at all. He leads the league in interceptions with 9 on the year. Do they even have an answer, though? Because that's my question for Raider Nation. If you did go shopping, let's say the Raiders say, you know what, we got to go shopping this week. We got to go find a new quarterback to turn this season around. Because realistically, as weird as this is to say, you still got a shot. You still got a shot because the AFC West right now, all 3 are tied. Or I'm sorry, all 3 will probably be tied after tonight when the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Jaguars at 3-2. You are sitting there at 1-4. A good second part of the season would probably turn you around into this, or at least get you competitive.
Division games.
So
It's
who
still
do you
early.
really even go after, though, if you did? You know what I mean? Are you going to be calling the Browns for Shedeur? Are you going to be calling Atlanta for Kirk Cousins? Probably not, because the amount of money you would have to pay.
I would.
But
I mean, their problem is going to go way deeper, and I don't see Cleveland trading Shedeur.
At least until this Dylan Gabriel thing blows up in their face.
If
Because we'll get to him as well, because he looked pretty solid in London over the weekend.
But if I'm with the Raiders, I'm either calling that and reaching out for Cousins, or I'm going to take a flyer on maybe Flacco to end the season.
You got to make a decision.
But Geno's not the one.
Geno, as nice as a dude as he is, I got my answer, by the way, Geno. If you're listening right now, I know what's harder, playing for Pete Carroll or playing for the Jets. I can plainly see you don't have to answer that for me anymore.
You already did.
But at this point, I agree with you. Geno's not the guy. Raider Nation, please chime in 661-842-2000. What do you guys think needs to happen in order to turn this season around for the Raiders? Because the next 4 for them, they got Tennessee coming up this week, Kansas City right after that. Then you got a bye week, and then you face the Jaguars. 3, I mean, all right, I'll give you 2 winnable games there with Tennessee and the Jags. I'm still not sold on the Jags. The Chiefs, it's really up in the air. You're playing in Kansas City and Arrowhead. So the Raiders somehow usually end up pulling out 1 against the Chiefs. Maybe it's that game. But I think some sort of change needs to happen at the quarterback position. I don't know who you go after, to be completely honest with you, or if there's even anybody out there that you can grab. Because I could tell you right now, Cincinnati, if you're not calling people for a new quarterback, you need to be. I don't care if Jake Browning threw 3 garbage touchdowns yesterday. And yes, those were garbage time touchdowns. That's all that was. There are a couple teams that need to be calling others for quarterback, or for at least some quarterback swapping. I don't know who.
You can have Tua.
I mean, at this point, we'll get to the Miami game on the other side of the break as well, because although that one was a little competitive, I feel like the offensive line just keeps letting you guys down every single week.
Far from it.
We'll get your thoughts on that, because you are the Miami expert, and I would love to hear what you have to say about this game. Let's take a break real quick, pay some bills. We got plenty to talk about, including the first ever Battle of the Kevins. Yes, the first ever game in the NFL history of 2 head coaches named Kevin took place in London over the weekend. We'll let you know what happened in that one. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield, as well as streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can watch us every single weekday from 7 to 9 as the show is going, or go back and watch old episodes that are up all the time on our YouTube channel. Just go find our Early Bird Special YouTube page, like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that type of good stuff. Let's run through a couple of these other games that we had from yesterday before we get to the big ones, including the New England Patriots' massive win over the Buffalo Bills last night.
How about the London game?
The London game, the Battle of the Kevins, as Carson Wentz gave every Minnesota Vikings fan a heart attack as he left this game in the second. And I sat there and saw that and said, oh no, here we go. Here we go. The Vikings are at it again. But Carson comes back, probably throws the best ball I've seen him throw since his MVP days with Philly. And honestly, though, if you watch this game at all, this final drive for the Minnesota Vikings at the end, it was impressive to me for multiple reasons. One, not only did you go up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, but you didn't shy away from their best players. Every ball, every single one, went to somebody that Ward was covering, their top corner. That is ballsy, if anything, especially with a guy like Carson Wentz at quarterback. Now, granted, it's easy to throw to guys like Justin Jefferson, who is by far the best wide receiver in football.
And he shows it every time.
And he can just snatch it over Denzel's head and say, ha, and walk away. And we'll get to some LSU wide receivers too in the second half, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But this game was just impressive to me. This is now 5-0 for the Minnesota Vikings in London. They have never lost in London. They've obviously lost overseas, but they've never lost in London. This is the 40th overseas game now for the NFL. That shocked me because I didn't realize we've already had 40 of these. Remember back a couple years ago when we only had these once a year, and now we literally have them for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks of the season. It's incredible. But at this point right now, the Minnesota Vikings clawing back up, trying to compete against the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers right now. And I'm not going to lie to you, I think the Chicago Bears are right around the corner as well, if they can ever get this offense going with Ben Johnson. But the real test, or at least the real talking point, I should say, is Dillon Gabriel on the opposite side. The Cleveland Browns quarterback did everything he could to keep Cleveland in this game, honestly had the lead throughout it, didn't have a turnover, 2 touchdowns for the young kid. Now, again, somewhere in the 120, 130 range in terms of yards, so not super impressive, but it was impressive enough for the Cleveland Browns to at least say, we made the right decision. At least we were in the chance to win this game. But what were your thoughts about this entire game? I mean, do you think Dillon did enough to really say he's the starter going forward? Do you think guys like Shedeur should still get a shot? Because, I mean, granted, you threw 2 touchdowns, but you still lost.
I would still give him credit for, his first game. Obviously, that's just more of a Cleveland choice. I think we're going to get him for a few weeks. If they can't pull out a couple, at least close ones, whether they win or lose, I don't think the win or lose is really what they're trying to figure out. I think it's more of, do we have a future quarterback here on this roster? And I'm going to back it. I still think we get Shedeur somewhere in week 9, week 10.
I agree.
I think we're just kind of experiment time right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Flacco doesn't get cut or traded, I think, in the next week or two. But what I saw out of Gabriel, I wasn't impressed. I mean, he wasn't making flashy, but he was accurate. He looked like he wasn't, scared like I was expecting. A lot of these rookie quarterbacks, you can kind of see it in their eyes. When we saw J.J. McCarthy that first game, you could read that a mile away. I think Dillon, he held himself. And I think there's a lot of issues with Cleveland on the offensive side. I do love this Judkins, the rookie running back. Somehow, some way, for the last 2 or 3 weeks since he's been back, he's finding ways to get 100 yards no matter what. And personally, I think it's just experiment time for the rest of the season, really, for Cleveland. I think we'll see him about the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then I think it's the Shador time.
I think Kevin Stefanski coached his way out of this win. If you watch that final drive for Cleveland, he did not pick the correct plays. For some reason, they had a chance. They had 1 minute left with the ball. Why you don't run that clock out, I don't know. But again, he made a decision to go for a play action pass on third down, which didn't make sense. Again, we can get to coaches who need to
There's
be
a lot
removed,
of weird coaching
but
this year.
it is what it is. What I saw from Dylan was a solid backup quarterback. That's what I saw. There were moments where he was rolling out on waggles, as I highlighted on Friday, where he didn't get the ball to the receiver because he doesn't have the arm strength. He makes smart decisions. He keeps you in the game in that route, but he's not going to be the guy to win the game for you. In today's NFL, that's what you need at the NFL or at the quarterback position. And I just don't think Dylan Gabriel is that guy. I agree with you. I mean, you look at the next 4 weeks for their season in terms of the Browns. They go to Pittsburgh this next week. Then they face your Dolphins. Then they head to New England. Then you got a bye week. I think that bye week right there in week 8 is where we're going to really start to hear, does Dylan solidify himself as the starting quarterback by, having a successful 3 weeks going into it? Or do we finally see Shedeur Sanders get his shot at the starting spot headed into the game in New York as they take on the Jets in week 9?
Well, going to the play calling, I think it looked like they had him on a leash. They didn't really let him play. I think we'll see what we can in the next couple of weeks, but if they don't pull out a win or at least make these next 3 games close, competitive games, I think that's the bye week is when they'll go over to Shedeur.
And speaking of the Jets, you guys get the next London game as the Broncos and the Jets face off this Sunday. And you will hear that right here on ESPN Bakersfield at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's talk about a couple of the other games before we get to a break. We had a miraculous pair of wins in the NFC South as the Saints upset Jackson Dart and the Giants, and Jackson's homecoming, essentially, quote unquote homecoming, because his parents were there. A lot of fans were there from Ole Miss, and everybody was shocked to see the Giants go from 14-0 lead to getting their butt handed to them 26-14 as Jackson Dart threw 2 incredible interceptions and had one of the worst fumbles I've seen from a rookie quarterback in quite some time. I hope this does not shatter his confidence, because this game was an ugly, ugly loss for the Giants.
5 turnovers, dude.
So bad. But realistically, when you get beat by a man named Kool-Aid, I think you just wash your hands of it, say, Brian, that game never happened. Never happened at all. We're going to move on. We got the Philadelphia Eagles coming up this week. We need a big game from our rookie quarterback. And to take a massive loss to the Saints this week is not exactly going to help his confidence at all headed into the division rival. What are your thoughts about this game? I couldn't believe that we now, and we should give the flowers. I'm sorry. First win for Kellen Moore and first win for Spencer Rattler, even though he started 12 games?
I think he's 1-10 now.
He's 1-10, 1-11, something like that. Spencer Rattler.
Good for you.
Good for you.
You got your first win.
It can't sit there and say Tyler Shuck is the next apparent anymore. And actually, that's the other crazy thing.
I'm glad I did not pick the Giants this week.
Nobody. I mean, we talk about rookie quarterbacks all the time taking over spots, and yet no one has brought up Tyler Shuck once. Is that telling to you? Is that just me? Like, we're talking about 2 quarterbacks in Cleveland that are fighting for a spot, and yet no one has even brought up Tyler Shuck, who's supposed to be, quote unquote, the heir apparent that Kellen Moore says is going to be the guy. But I mean, what were your thoughts on this one before we get to your Dolphins?
It was it was a Saints-Giants game. I didn't pay too much attention to it. When I saw the Giants were up, and then I was watching Red Zone during the game, and I was like, oh, what Kool-Aid again?
Kool-Aid McKinstry.
He was all over the place, and I got to give it to the Saints.
Name in football, baby.
I've been steering away from. I mean, I'm still in my pick'em league because I picked against the Saints every week, but this week I steered away. I just took the Detroit Lions, figuring, okay, this one is an easier win for Detroit.
Absolutely,
but I was surprised. I mean, it just shows how the NFL is, and I would expect the Giants to bring it to the Eagles next
100%.
week.
I think there's still some growing pains that you got with these rookies right now, and especially losing Malik Neighbors. That's going to be a big factor in terms of the pass game. But, I mean, watching this game, the Saints just had it a little bit more. They got the momentum exactly when they needed to. I just hope this doesn't shatter his confidence in terms of Jackson Dart, because I loved what I saw from the first 2 weeks from the kid. But do you think when he's throwing those 2 picks to Kool-Aid, he was yelling, "Oh no"?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then real quick before we get to a break, Bryce Young and the Panthers somehow pull off this win against your Miami Dolphins. Please explain to the folks of what happened. I know you were talking about it all last week. Pick up Rico Dowdle. He was going to go off on him. I don't think anybody was expecting 200 yards.
Yep.
So
it was written on the wall. Miami's rush defense is horrible. Horrible. And I don't care. I mean, they were up 14-0 at a point. Miami's offense didn't look like the problem. And it still didn't look like the problem all game. Yes, anytime, I'll say it every week, if you give Tua the ball with 2 minutes left, he's going to take a sack. And that's just what happens every time. And I mean, overall, Miami's offense looked good. The defense is horrible. And yes, they got a couple sacks. They got their first interception of the year, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, they could not stop the run.
No.
And that's just what we've seen every week. No matter if they pull out a win, even when they beat the Jets, they had 150 yards on the ground. And it's just been the issue. And I'm starting to think, okay, well, they're probably going to let McDaniel finish the year as the coach, because obviously the offense is taking steps forward. You know, we've said the same thing. Darren Waller, 5 catches? He had 70-something yards and a touchdown. But he didn't throw it to Waller the whole second half, which was ridiculous. Waddle, again, had a great game, but 2 drops in the fourth quarter when we needed him. Yeah, one of them was like he was throwing to 6'10" Jalen Waddle instead of, little bitty 6'2". But I will say, Tua, when he gets in his head, man, and those final drives, I do not want Tua with the ball with 2 minutes left in the game.
I don't know if it's Tua that's to blame or if it's your offensive line, though, because every time he's under pressure in those 2 minutes, the guard or the tackle just kind of like sit there, pop the guy once, and then just let him through. And I'm sitting there watching like, Olay? Like, my God, what was that? Like, it's terrible. So it's like, it's much like the Raiders, although we love to give Geno Smith a lot of the blame. And to be honest, throwing 9 interceptions, there is a lot of blame to go over there. But being under pressure all the time, having to run for your life and make these plays, and Tua being the quarterback that he is, though, you don't want him making those
He was
plays.
not sacked all the way until that final drive.
Right. And
it was the same thing with the Jets the week before, where they let the Jets back in the game with the final 5 minutes. A-Chain couldn't run anywhere. You know, the left side of that offensive line has been stout. They've been great. I have to give love to Patrick Paul, who stepped in for Armstead, hasn't given up a sack all season, and he was one of the top 2 rated left tackles so far this season. But yeah, the guards are garbage. But it's also in the play calling, because when we're doing 3-step, the quick offense like we've always been running, and then he tries to get cute. And I will say, I think the Dolphins are not the worst team, but when it comes down to it, we're going to be in the bottom 5 at the end of the season.
I hope you're wrong, but I think right now with the way you guys are progressing, it just kind of leans that way.
Defense coordinator's got to go.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the guy we were talking about last week who was sitting there claiming that they were going to be physical and they were going to be ferocious and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's definitely what we see there, homeboy. Real quick, other side of the coin before we go to break. Bryce Young. Personally, I've never been a fan of the guy, but he has since turned around at least the Carolina faithful into believing that he's their guy. I have questions, though. Do you believe that this guy is really the guy? And I'm going to read off some of his career statistics here. He's a career 60% completion percentage, 6,000 yards now in 3 years, or well, technically 2, 31 touchdowns, 32 interceptions, 555 rush yards for 7 touchdowns and 5 fumbles. And his career record right now in the NFL is 8-27. When does the levee break for Carolina when they realize that this guy's not their guy either? And to be honest with you, I don't mean for it to sound rude or anything, but every time they win, it's not usually because of him. And you could just hear it from his cadence. If you're watching a Carolina game, next time you watch a Carolina game, I want you to listen to his cadence. The first part of it, when he's not going to hike the ball, sounds like a 12-year-old boy. And then when he gets serious, he drops it down about 15 times like he's a country singer. It's like, dude, what are you doing besides just telling the defense, okay, I'm about to hike the ball now? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. 8-27 though. 31 for 31 touchdowns, 33 interceptions. I mean, Matt Leinart had better numbers than this, and Arizona was walking away from him after his rookie season. Like, I don't know exactly what Carolina sees. I don't see it. And personally, I'm going to just throw this out there right now because I know they're going to be talking about it at the end of the year when Carolina is inevitably 5-12. But I think it's time to move on from Bryce Young as well if you're Carolina. Even though you pulled off this win against Miami, I am not impressed whatsoever with what Bryce Young has put on the field. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get to the other big games over the weekend, including the battle between Seattle and Tampa Bay, Denver finally beating an unbeaten team, and much, much more. Plus, yes, we will get to the baseball playoffs. I know you Dodger fans are waiting so eagerly to talk all the smack you want to before game 2, and we'll get you ready for that here as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 a.m. Welcome back. This is the early bird special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101 AM, as well as streaming video live every single weekday from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow us on all social media platforms at the Early Bird Special. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that good stuff. We got a handful of games to get to before we get to our rundown of tonight's game between the Jags and the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as get to our breakdown of playoff baseball from over the weekend. Plus, we're going to talk about Mark Sanchez and Kyren Lacy. But at this point, we had 2 undefeated teams going into the weekend. We no longer have any coming out of it as the Denver Broncos finally hand the struggling Philadelphia Eagles. And yes, I say struggling. I'll explain that in a second. Their first loss of the season, coming back down 14-0 with an 18-point turnaround in the fourth quarter that included a 2-point conversion to take the lead. And I thought that was the ballsiest play that Sean Payton has called in quite some time. He did not want to keep this up to chance at all, taking that 18-17 lead right there at the end before kicking the final field goal. However, Philadelphia Eagles struggling all over the place, went 2 of 11 on third downs, only 45 rush yards in the game altogether. The defense was able to take that away with the Denver Broncos playing so well. But I got to read these to you, Spark, and ask you a question on the other side. Philadelphia currently is 30th in yards per game offensively, 31st in pass yards per game at 162 a game, 26th at rush yards per game, just under 100. Their next 3 games will be in New York, then in Minnesota, and then one more game against New York in Philadelphia. Is it time for them to hit the panic button? This has now been 5 straight weeks where the Philadelphia Eagles have barely skated by. But if this is their version of the Super Bowl hangover, is it really that big of a deal?
It's not the Eagles that we're expecting. They're definitely just playing close to these games. And I mean, the offense does not look good.
No. And I mean, we haven't seen Saquon break out like we did last year. We haven't necessarily seen any success. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've seen enough success for them to be successful. But that's kind of my point, is that if this is what they're just going to say okay to doing, I mean, we said the same thing with Kansas City last year. Should we all just be okay with that because you're winning? So is it really that much of a hangover? Or should they be hitting the panic button saying, oh my God, if we play anybody of relevance, we're screwed?
I mean, the defense is playing well. I just think they've got some quirks to deal with the offense. I know they haven't been feeding Barkley like they did last year, but still, when these games are close every week, no matter who they're playing, I mean, I wouldn't say it's time to panic, but it's time to clean up some stuff and get this offense rolling. And I think they obviously have the talent to do it. I know Sirianni started slow last year. I just don't know. I think Philly has the chance to turn this thing around, obviously, with guys like Barkley and, AJ Brown and, Devontae Smith, a ton of guys. It almost looks like Jalen is just kind of playing just enough like a team manager, not the team that's going to put up 40 in the Super Bowl.
Just a little run-of-the-mill type quarterback play. I mean, I wouldn't
I
necessarily...
don't know if that's play calling or if it's just how the team looks right now.
Maybe it's just how the team looks right now. I mean, I said this coming into the season, when you win a Super Bowl, the players that came in hungry aren't as hungry the next year. They're still as skilled, but when you're hungry, you play at a different level. You play at a different intensity. And when you've already reached that and you've already got the ring around your finger, a lot of people don't have that same fire the next year or really the rest of their career. A lot of guys are cool with just winning one and walking away. But that's my point. It's like, I don't know if we should really even be critical of the Eagles, obviously, because they're winning. But to be in the bottom 5, I should say, in all of these offensive statistical categories has to be a concern.
Yeah, when you have a team like that.
Absolutely. And looking at it on the opposite side of the coin with the Denver Broncos, obviously now tied 3-2 for the lead in the AFC West after the Chargers have slipped the last 2 weeks. We will see if the Kansas City Chiefs join them in a 3-way tie tonight. Do you think this is the time, though, for Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos to really kick it up into high gear and separate themselves from their rivals? They have the Jets coming up in London this next week. Then you face off against the Giants at home, Dallas at home, and then you head to Houston to take on the Texans.
Ooh, that game against Dallas will be
It's going to be
Will be a
very
good one.
interesting.
I mean, they kind of started out slow too. I was expecting Denver to be up there in the top of the division, and they kind of let a couple games go early in the season. I think Denver's just right on time. I think they're starting to put the pieces together. Nick's looked a little better. He wasn't perfect, but that defense, man, is tough.
Absolutely. And I think they're starting to reach their stride as well. You have the best defensive player in the league in Patrick Surtain, and that is not arguable.
I still think they win that AFC West.
I think so too. I think somehow they end up fighting probably the Chargers. I think the Chargers figured this out. I know the offensive line is banged up right now, and it's going to be really rough to really turn it around. But the Chargers, along with Jim Harbaugh, have shown that offensively, at least they have the pieces to compete with anybody. The Chiefs, the jury's still out. I know you've won the last couple games.
So if they choke tonight, you think the Chiefs are on panic mode?
I think so. Yeah, because again, going up against two formidable teams in the Chargers and the Broncos, it's going to be hard to usurp either of them when you yourself are not figuring it out offensively. Let's switch over real quick. Tampa Bay and these offensive studs from Ohio State just keep coming out of the woodwork, man. Ibuka and Smith and Jigba, both over 130 yards in this game and a touchdown. Fantastic to see both sides. Unfortunately, Sam Darnold's late game heroics, not enough to get the Seahawks over the top as Baker Mayfield leads a third come from behind victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the final minute. I'm still leaning on the fact that Tampa Bay is not the Super Bowl favorite in the NFC. I will die on this hill if I'm the only one that does so. But what are your thoughts on both of these teams?
I don't remember who was it. Was it Eisen or
it was probably
I think
Schefter.
Schefter
was the one saying that they were loaded.
I think Tampa is going to be in the conversation. I don't think they're Super Bowl ready, but I mean, to have a guy like Baker when the game is on the line, that's the guy you want with the ball. And that rookie receiver, dude, is turning some heads.
He's a dude.
He's a guy. And I don't know how Tampa always does it, but they always have stud receivers, and obviously that makes Baker's job better.
Funny to me though, watching this kid play, he is a perfect mix of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
He's like their godson.
Both of them.
He is a legit wide receiver. He
really is.
And honestly, even with Evans out, it doesn't look like they're missing anything.
This is why I'm happy, because if Atlanta could take Tampa Bay to the absolute limit, that means Atlanta's not that far behind either, but that's just me being a fanny. Let's talk real quick. Buffalo Bills losing last night to the New England Patriots, 23-20. Honestly, this game really went down to who was the better quarterback. Drake may end up being the one as the better quarterback in this game because he didn't throw a pick. What were your thoughts about this? I know both of these are rival teams to yours.
Yeah, I kind of knew it was going to be a tough, tight game. I was surprised that New England's D stepped up. I know they got away with a couple pass interferences here and there, but that's just division football.
Mm-hmm.
I picked New England to win just because I know New England, Buffalo, Miami, Buffalo, these division teams play the Bills tight. And I think it was just one of those games. It's like you told me a week before to not pick Atlanta on my picks because those division games are always tight.
Always tight.
And I think it was a hell of a game to watch. Luckily, I was switching back and forth with my Mariners, and I was able to catch the last 10 minutes of the game. I personally was not expecting it to be that close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, Josh Allen, it's all not giving him the ball when the game is on the line, and luckily they were able to step up.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake May, I mean, he's taken steps forward. Obviously, Diggs have a big game in his return.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that game was obviously personal for him because playing his old team. So, it was a hell of a game. What did he have, 140 something yards or something like that?
Yeah, it was in the area, but that's kind of my thing. Although I give the flowers to the Patriots for winning this game and coming up 3-2 and making yourself a little bit more challengeable in the AFC East, I don't necessarily think this is a good measuring stick for both of these teams. Drake May in his first primetime game ever did great. Like I said, he was the better quarterback in this game, but realistically speaking, you can't expect Diggs to have this type of game every single time you play the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
he had half of your yards.
Say he probably won't have one the rest of the season.
Exactly. So I'm going to sit there and say great win from them, taking one away from Buffalo, especially in Buffalo during their whiteout game. essentially, but it really isn't enough for me to say the
Those
Patriots are there.
ugly-ass
Let's
jerseys.
quickly get our thoughts out on tonight's game. Duval Country and this incredible defense taking on the Kansas City Chiefs and this offense who have yet, in my opinion, to really figure it out and get it going fully. They should have a solid game tonight in terms of the Chiefs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, personally, I'm not a big fan of Liam Cohen. I'm not a big fan of the Trevor Lawrence we've seen this year. Have been a fan of Trevor in the past, but in my opinion, he's regressing. At this point, the Chiefs, though, middle of the pack in terms of yards, 16th in total yards, 14th in pass, 21st in rush, and 15th in points. Do you think they have enough to get over the top of this Jaguars defense tonight?
Whew, that's a good question. I think it's going to be close. I think it's really going to rely on the Chiefs defense and how, if they can get to Trevor Lawrence, I think it's over. But I personally think Jacksonville's defense is going to make this game a close one.
I think you said it right there. If the Jaguars defense can get to Patrick Mahomes, it is over for the Chiefs. However, the Jaguars have one big issue in this defense. They're 23rd in pass yards given away. And if you don't think Patrick and this offense of Juju Smith-Schuster and these wide receivers who are desperately looking to break out aren't going to take advantage of that, you are absolutely crazy. We got to take a break. On the other side, we'll talk all things baseball as we get you ready for Game 2 of the NLDS series. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield, as well as streaming video online every single weekday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You could also find us on Instagram, TikTok, all over the place. Like, subscribe, share the reels, all that type of good stuff. We've talked enough about football.
And if you'd like to win some Bakersfield Brunchfest tickets, you can text in 842-2000.
Are we just going to let them text in and we just randomly pick somebody? Or are we going to put something up there?
Might as well.
We'll just let you guys text in today. We'll think of something for you guys to do for the rest of the week because you will be able to win them all week long right here on the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. And again, if you're in the Kern County area, trust me, you want to go to this event. It's this Saturday, Kern County Fairgrounds, and it is worth every bit of the time you were going to spend there. It really, really is. And we're going to talk to our guys over at Firestone Grill. The executive chef, Mr. Hannibal, will be coming in at 8:30 to let us know what they have cooking for you guys for this weekend. Let's talk a little baseball. Yes, Dodger fans, you can text in now or call in, whatever you want to do. NLDS Game 2s starting tonight. This is going to be a fantastic night of baseball as we try to see if the Cubbies and the Phils can come back after losing Game 1 of both of their respected series. Not sure which one was worse. Would you rather be the team that got blown out from the word go and never really got a chance at taking the lead? Or would you rather be the team that had a lead and blew it? I'm not exactly sure. Personally, as a Phils fan, I'm not going to lie to you, it did not feel good to see Teoscar launch a 95-mile-an-hour fastball out into the left field. I'm sorry, right center. I apologize. But at this point right now, both teams, I don't think are really in that bad a shape. When you really looked at what happened in Game 1 of both of these series, Chicago got out to a good start with that home run in the first. They were just answered beautifully by their division rival in Milwaukee with 6 straight in the next one, moving Chicago to have to obviously bench their starter and go to a bullpen game throughout the entire thing, which didn't help their case at all. Nobody, including the relief pitching, is ready to go in the first inning. So at that point, really, can we expect this to happen to Shota tonight? I doubt that, especially going against Aaron Ashby, who, as nice as Aaron can be on the mound, he has his moments of giving up a lot of runs. So I think that this game tonight at 6, the Chicago and Milwaukee game is going to face out to be a little bit better. The 3 o'clock game, the Dodger game, Blake Snell and Jesus Luzardo, this is going to be a pitching matchup for the ages, and I'm going to tell you why. We saw what Blake Snell is capable of, not only in Game 1 for the Dodgers in the in the Wild Card Series, excuse me, but we've seen Blake Snell do this to teams for years. Blake Snell is Blake Snell. He's going to do everything possible to keep the Phils to under 3 runs in this game. We need a massive game from Kyle Schwarber this week. You cannot go 0-4. And honestly, both of these teams, I think, have the same really mindset going into it. If you can stunt the first 3 guys, if you can somehow stall out those top 3 guys, your Shoheis, your Mookie Betts, your Freddie Freemans on the Dodgers side, and for the Phils side, it would be Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. You can keep those 6 guys off the bases, you have a pretty damn good shot at winning this game. You really do. And one of the biggest things that have been brought up to me since the game on Saturday that I'm going to float out to Dodger fans, apparently there have been a handful of fans that are calling for some sort of investigation, claiming that the Dodgers and Andy Pages were stealing signs during this game and let Teoscar Hernandez know what was coming during that home run ball. Here's the thing. This is coming from a Phillies fan. Our best relief pitcher right now is Matt Strahm. Matt Strahm put that fastball in a perfect location for Teo to launch it. He didn't need the sign to be stolen for that home run to be launched. So let's not, freak out every time your team loses. That's the one thing about baseball that kind of bugs me, is that your team can never just lose anymore. Ever since the Astros stole signs, Your team can never just lose in the playoffs. They have to be cheated. Oh, you clearly are cheating. There's no way you knew that fastball was coming. Stop it. Sometimes pitchers mess up. Matt Strahm knew the minute he threw that pitch, he messed up. And Teo, who is on a tear and has hit multiple home runs since the wild card series, you cannot make those mistakes. You just can't. So no, do I think the Dodgers are stealing signs? Absolutely not. But even if they are, at least they're not banging trash cans and making it completely noticeable that they're stealing the sign. I've had multiple Dodger fans text me and say, "Oh, do you guys think you're stealing signs now, huh?" It's not what I said. I said we lost outright. We absolutely lost that game outright. The Dodgers came from behind, and they're the number one team in baseball to do that every single time. They are the number one team in comeback wins this year, and it shows. You guys have the talent up and down the roster. There's no reason to believe that you can't do it at any point in time. It's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At this point, I expect it from you. So I think we got two fantastic games set up here for the NLDS. Like I said, Blake Snell and Jesus Luzardo will get kicked off right here at 3 o'clock. And then Shota Imanaga will take on Aaron Ashby at 6. I'm not going to put money down on who's going to win these games. I sure hope we're going to leave both of these series 1-1, but we will see, and we will talk plenty about it tomorrow as these games wrap up.
That's what I'm hoping. That's at least what I'm hoping for. Entertaining series. I would expect it to be 1-1 after today, but hey, it's the playoffs, and just going into I was going to ask you with the Yankees, are they done?
Oh, I was just about to get to that. So
I could see it in your eyes, dude. Are they done?
Oh, they're done. That's like a turnover, baby. Flip it out, get it out of the oven. We're out of here. Let's go. It's done. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. has made them his Ichbe, for lack of a better word. I mean,
Ichbe.
At this point, dude, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Let's hear from Aaron Boone real quick. This is the Yankee manager, Aaron Boone, who has been under incredible scrutiny all year long, and rightfully so, and we'll explain that afterwards too. But he still has belief that his Yankees can turn this around. So let's hear from him real quick.
Baseball's a funny game. I know we'll show up and ready to go expecting to win Tuesday night. So, obviously feels like the world's caving in around you, and you lose 2 games like that in their building where it doesn't go right, but all of a sudden you go out there and win a ball game on Tuesday, the needle can change. There's been a lot of weird things that have happened in baseball this year. This would not be the weirdest, us rallying. So we'll come ready to go Tuesday, expect to win, and then look to win again and push it back here. So I don't think we haven't lost any confidence. Obviously they've had our number and gotten the better of us so far this year, but I don't think anyone in our room doesn't feel like we can't go out and beat them. So, we got to play better. We got to, pitch and swing it better, but we're certainly capable of it, and we'll expect to do that on Tuesday night.
So here's my thoughts. Although he's right, baseball is weird. Baseball is very weird. Doesn't matter what you did in the last game. It matters what you do in this one. And that is every game, not just, in the regular season, postseason, does not matter. But when you really look at how the Yankees lost games 1 and 2 in Toronto, 10-1 in the first game, 13-7 yesterday at a time where they were down at one point 11-0. Talking about a Tampa Bay, or I'm sorry, not Tampa Bay. We're talking about a Toronto Blue Jays team that hit 59. He had 29 hits, 59 total bases throughout these 2 games against pitching in the Yankees that they need to lean on the starting pitching. They don't have the relief pitching to really sustain themselves in this series. So when Max Fried and all of these guys get destroyed in games 2, and honestly, probably game 4, because I would assume, I think he's right. I think they come back and win game 3, first game in New York. I think they do rally, win this game, but they're going to get wrapped up there in game 5 or in game 4. I don't think that this thing comes back to Toronto.
I don't think they get by game 3.
You don't think you think it's a clean sweep?
No, yeah.
I don't think they get a clean sweep off.
They're putting so many runs out. I mean, even looking at the last two, I mean, what they have 23, 24 runs in 2 games. I just don't think the Yankees got it this year.
Honestly, they did. I mean, when you really look at the batting lineup, at least you have it. You got Cody Bellinger, you got Goldschmidt, you got Judge, who's arguably the best hitter ever next to Shohei, and Stanton and all the rest of these guys. Grisham looks fantastic. I mean, all have moments of looking great, but it really boils down to the pitching. I mean, the first game, you only had 5 Ks. I'm sorry, no, the second game, you had 5 Ks. The first game, you had 2. Like, you can't expect to win baseball games that way. And that's my point, is that if your starting pitching can't hold up here for the Yankees, you're done. You're absolutely done. I think that they rally around each other in game 3 in New York. You don't lose outright, at least in a sweep formation or in a sweep situation, but you definitely lose in 4.
You think if they do get swept, do you think Boone's gone?
I think you have to. I think you absolutely have to, because, I mean, you take into account the mistakes he's made throughout the season, especially defensively, but realistically, you look at what he did in the wild card series, almost threw that away against the Boston Red Sox with your first game. You lost that game before the game even started, just from poor managing. And for those of you who are not following me saying, what do you mean? They went up against Garrett Crochet, okay, who notoriously great pitcher. The lineup they set threw out every left-handed batter they had, not letting a single one of them on the bench, not leaving a single one on the bench, I mean. When you knew you were playing a team like the Boston Red Sox, whose closer is Aroldis Chapman, a left-handed pitcher. You can't make those small mistakes. You just can't. And honestly, we've talked about it multiple times in baseball, but when you are in an organization like the Yankees, the Dodgers, you know, these guys that have such high expectations for themselves every single year. We talk about we talk about fan bases wanting Dave Roberts fired every single year. The Dodgers want Dave Roberts, at least the fan base call for Dave Roberts' head every year, even though he's winning. It's the same thing with Aaron Boone. If you're not making the right moves, if you are not making the smart moves as a manager, they want you out. They want you out now. And to be honest with you, you haven't exactly given them a reason to keep you. So if they get swept, for sure, I think that there's a lot of conversation about Aaron Boone being fired and moved on from. If they fight back and at least get to 4 or 5 games, you could probably make an argument they'll keep him for 1 more year. But if we see another statistically awful defensive year from the Yankees and them have to fight from a wild card spot into this, then yeah, Aaron Boone most likely will be let go in the next 2 to 3 years.
That's wild.
It really is. Let's talk about your team real quick, though, as the Tigers and Mariners split their series 3-2 apiece, as the first one had to go to 11 innings for that to even happen. What did you see from your squad? I mean, obviously yesterday, Julio coming in clutch there at late in the game to make it a 3-2 game, giving you the first playoff win in 24 years. The last time that the Seattle Mariners won a playoff game, 2001 ALCS against the Yankees. What are your thoughts on these first 2 games?
I was on the edge of my seats last night. I like what I'm seeing. I mean, even with game 1, they're making it close, and I do love the pitching in Seattle. I think that's what is saving us. But I mean, they've been on cue. They've been hitting when they need to. I think hopefully we come out and going back to Mariners baseball, where they're clocking the ball, and I think this game 3 is going to be lopsided. I personally think that they go out and put up 6 to 8 runs. I'm just happy. I was nervous last night because if they were to choke that game off at the end, I was going to be nervous.
At least you didn't have to go against Tarik Skubal multiple times, and that guy is just so dang good at what he does. But I agree with you. I love what I keep seeing from the hitters too. Cal, although not hitting dingers, is still getting on base. Julio's getting on base. Seattle is keeping themselves hot. I think you're just going against a team in the Tigers that, again, them coming in, at least for me, I had a lot of question marks because of the collapse and just how they were going to continue this season. I think they have worked themselves out of that, and they genuinely believe that they are back to being a World Series contender. At this point, though, this is the first time Seattle's been relevant in the playoffs since their 116-win season back in 2001. I don't know if they're going to let the Tigers take this away from
See,
them.
that's what I'm nervous about. I do love Munoz when he gets out there. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, we can lock it in.
And the positive here for Seattle, they have won all 3 games this year in Detroit. All 3.
Well, that's a good thing about Seattle is they travel well.
So I think this game is going to be very, very key. Tomorrow, obviously, it's going to be Logan Gilbert against Jack Flattery, which is going to be a pretty solid matchup as well. Both pitchers give up a lot of runs, but have a fantastic strikeout pitch. We're going to see what happens there. But personally, I believe in Seattle. I think that this is going to be the team to actually get to potentially the World Series. I don't know if Toronto really can get past the high-poweredness of Seattle's offense, although Toronto in their own right,
Jesus, I mean,
they're running it up. But at the same time, like I just said about baseball is weird.
yeah,
These games where you run up scores 11, 12, nothing, those could be all the 12 runs you get for the next 5-6 games.
exactly.
So are they burning themselves out too early against the Yankees? We will find out. I am still there's a piece of me that wants to believe that the World Series is going to see Seattle in it this year.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Genuinely believe that.
I think this game 3 is going to be the biggest game of the series, though.
I think so too. To be honest, this is going to be a fantastic one to watch. But there's a lot of great playoff baseball. Text in 661-842-2000. Give us your guys' thoughts. Obviously, Dodger fans want to let loose on me. I'm sure you do. Feel free to. But remember, keep that energy if you guys lose tonight. I just want you to remember that. Keep that same energy. We got to take a break, though. On the other side, before we get to our friends over at Firestone Grill, we got to talk about this entire crazy story with Mark Sanchez being arrested over the weekend after being stabbed. Yeah, someone wanted to stab Mark Sanchez. It happened that much. So we'll give you all the details on that on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. How am I supposed to talk over this? Arguably the greatest guitar solo ever.
Died 5 years ago.
Today?
Today. Anytime I could throw in some Eddie Van Halen.
God,
One of my
that
favorites.
That's one of my mom's favorites too, and I grew up listening to everything Van Halen. So my God.
Van Halen or Van Hagar?
Halen for sure. Real quick though, with the little time we have before we get to our first guest the day, we got to talk about this crazy story from over the weekend. Sparky had texted me about this Saturday at some point. I had read it early Saturday morning, but Mark Sanchez, former USC quarterback, former Jets quarterback, longtime Fox Sports analyst, was stabbed over the weekend. And at first, when this story came out, all I thought was, who the hell wanted to kill Mark Sanchez?
Right.
Like, out of all quarterbacks, the butt fumble? Really? He gave us more laughs than he did cries. But at this point, more information has come out about the situation. So I'm going to try to break this down as best I can. So Mark was in Indianapolis to call the Colts and Raiders game. And while at his hotel on Friday night, Saturday morning, around 12:30 in the morning, Mark got a little drunk and apparently got into an altercation with a box truck driver outside of the hotel at 12:30 in the morning. I don't know exactly what truck driver was there at 12:30 in the morning, but it's besides the point. Apparently, the altercation got to a point where the truck driver believed that Mark was going to go as far as to kill him. Thinking that his life was in danger, he was thrown up against a trash can and onto the floor by Mark Sanchez, in which brought about pepper spray first. But
that doesn't. A 69-year-old guy.
Yeah, this is a 69-year-old truck driver against a 38-year-old former quarterback. And that, obviously, the pepper spray does not work. For those of you who are wondering, pepper spray doesn't work the way you think it does. It's not like the movies where, most people aren't just going to fall to the ground crying, saying, "Ah, my eyes!" Like, most people are going to come charging at you, say, "What the hell, dude?"
Yeah. It's not like Oscar.
Not at all. So this obviously led up to an altercation next to the truck, where the truck driver then pulled out his knife, fearing for his life, stabbed Mark 2 to 3 times in the torso, and Mark ran away after being stabbed. Well, Mark got to the hospital and was being treated there for the stab wounds when he got arrested by Indianapolis police. And he told Indianapolis police he has no idea who stabbed him. He has no idea what happened. He just woke up or came to trying to grab a window and keep himself upright as he was bleeding out. This entire thing is incredible. Sanchez now faces battery with injury charges, public intoxication, and unlawful entry of a vehicle. All misdemeanors, mind you. So he's not going to face any major jail time for this. But what in the hell did you get into an argument with over a random truck driver in the middle of the night?
So in the police report, it says it had they were arguing over the parking where he had parked his truck. And originally, Sanchez allegedly was trying to move his truck for him. But I mean, like you said, it's 12:30 at night in Indianapolis. Yeah, well, you probably had a couple drinks, but what in the hell pushes a person to...
Here's the thing, though. That's the key to it right there, Sparky, is that you've had a couple drinks and you tried to get behind the wheel of a car.
On top of that, yeah.
Yeah. So not only did this instance kind of save you from worse charges,
right?
Let's be honest, because if you had gotten in that car, gotten into a DUI, this would be a completely different conversation. But this entire story was just wild from the get-go. And the first thing that popped in my head when all of the actual news came out, all of the details behind all of this with the police report and the affidavit, does he lose his job at Fox Sports over this? Does this end up being the knife in the coffin? The knife in the entire thing?
Big shout out to you know, Brady Quinn for stepping up and being his backup for
and
him.
that had to stick in his craw a
Yes.
little bit too, right?
It's like,
USC quarterback replaced by a Notre Dame quarterback. Ooh, that must have stung a little bit. Now,
I
it would have
would-
been worse if it was Matt Leinart that
Right.
got replaced instead of Mark Sanchez.
I would expect him to lose his job, wouldn't you think?
I would think so, because Fox Sports, you can't have this. You can't have this type of altercation. You can't have this kind of this bad publicity
It's
on
not Fox
your guys.
News, it's Fox Sports.
Yeah, it's Fox Sports, which again, I don't even think the Fox Sports and Fox News aren't even related anymore. No.
I don't think so.
Are they still related though?
I don't believe so.
I think that's the only thing Fox made out with was the news and the sports organizations, but I could be wrong. During the sale of Fox to Disney, Disney took all of the entertainment side of Fox. That I remember.
Well, the funniest part was, like you said, Sanchez, his comments is like, dude, I don't know what happened.
No idea
I don't
what
remember
happened. I
anything.
was drunk. And here's the thing. That's not an excuse.
No,
That is not an excuse
this
in any
proves
way,
the
shape, or
fact that
form.
you probably shouldn't have even got into
again,
this altercation.
I'm also the other thing that popped in my head though, because don't get me wrong, I've been in Mark's shoes where I get to my car, some a-hole is parked behind me and you can't get out. So everybody has thought of, well, I'm just going to get in your car and move it then so I can get out. But what truck driver was there at 12:30 in the morning at a hotel? Like, that's my thing. This is a box truck driver. Like, you're clearly delivering something or doing something that's job related, but at midnight? That's kind of weird. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's no excuse for Mark Sanchez. The altercation in general was probably blown out of proportion. Let's be honest. I guarantee you that truck driver probably he was thinking something completely different.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when a 6 foot something 38-year-old man who used to play football is, coming right at you and you're a 70-year-old truck driver, clearly you're going to defend yourself. Unfortunately, it ended with Mark Sanchez getting a couple to the ribs.
This story still seems unreal.
It does. It seems very, very unreal, but we'll give you the most we can as the story develops and he faces these misdemeanor charges. I guess we'll find out in the next couple days. I would assume if Fox Sports will decide his future with the organization. I don't know if he loses his job, but he will definitely probably be suspended for the rest of the year until all this blows over. But still, crazy story from Mark Sanchez, but that's not even the craziest story of the weekend, which we will get to after our break. Because if you're an LSU fan or a college football fan, we have to get into this Kyren Lacy stuff. I mean, we had a huge development over the weekend, and I cannot wait to talk about that. But we got to take a break and bring in our guest of the day, because it seems there are more than one. We will talk to the executive chef over at Firehouse Grill as they get set for Brunchfest this weekend. And again, you can win tickets right here on the Early Bird Special. Just text in at any point in time, 661-842-2000. We can hook you up with a pair of them. We'll take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. All right, welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. And we got to tighten ourselves up. We've been saying Firestone all day, but it's actually Firehouse. Our guy Hannibal here is from Firehouse. There's a huge difference. But executive chef from Firehouse, Adam, is here, along with Jeff from US Foods. Gentlemen, how are you?
Very good. How you doing?
We ready for Brunchfest on Saturday? We're getting ready. So okay, we will get to what you brought us. Let's talk about Firehouse a little bit. You guys are obviously well known around town. You have 2 locations, one massive one on Rosedale, and one that you guys have been at on White Lane for what? Like at least coming up on a decade, right?
Yeah, this is 20 years.
I mean, it's been 20 years. My God, I'm way off. So what for those of people who never really go, what are you guys known for? Personally, I know you guys are always there for pool houses and stuff like that. Anybody who wants to watch sports and have a nice beer and whatnot. But what is Firehouse all about?
We're a giant sports bar. We are your place for anything sports related. We host Chargers games, Niners games, Cowboys games, every game you can possibly think of. We're gonna be doing the Lakers for the
Dodger games.
Dodgers games. Yeah, sorry. We'll be there for a
That's
second.
all right. You're talking to a Phillies fan.
It's
so.
all good. Yeah, I mean,
We just installed 16 new 85-inch TVs at our
wow.
location. We've got primetime viewing for everything.
Okay. And you guys obviously have the pool tables and stuff set up. How many do you guys have over there, actually?
At least 16 of them at the Southwest location.
Not to mention the bowling alley and stuff like that.
10 lanes
already
at the bowling
set up.
alley at both locations.
Open mic.
Open
Horse
mics
racing
on
plus
Mondays.
horse betting.
Yep, we got
Yeah,
horse
sports betting.
betting as well.
I think the only horse betting place in town, right?
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when you guys opened that, I was shocked just because I looked in there and it's like, wow, are we in Vegas? Like this thing is nice.
Right? Exactly.
Talking about that, we did talk about the open mics, our guys Tyson and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So it's a wide variety of things that you can get there. But what about the food? You're the executive chef. What do you whip up over there for everybody?
The food's great, really. Everything is super solid. We're known most for our wings. Our wings are top notch. We get the highest quality bone-in wings we can do, cook them in-house and everything, cook them to order, fresh, delicious, big portions. They are what you come there for. It is awesome.
I'm a wing guy, but it's all about the sauce. So, like, do you have like a spicy type of thing that you want to shout out for anybody?
Oh yeah, we've got our false alarm, which is our more medium, and then we got our hot spot, which is more of a little bit of a fiery. Then we got a sweet and sour and a barbecue. Can't go wrong with those.
Can't go wrong with that, or at least a classic buffalo and whatnot.
Yep.
But obviously, we're talking about Brunchfest, which is nothing but brunch foods.
Right.
And so, what exactly did you bring us here today? I'm gonna try to put this in the video for everybody who can see. It's a waffle, clearly, but what do we got here?
Yep. We're going more carnival style. You know, we're doing a funnel cake waffle. So it's a deep fried waffle with a strawberry compote on top and some house made whipped cream.
I'm a massive funnel cake fan, so I got to try this real quick.
Plus, it's been coated in pearl sugar and fried. That's why it's a little darker.
Look at that. And everybody at Brunchfest can get this for free, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. Let me try this real quick. Yep, that's a funnel cake. Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Especially as a waffle. Okay, so what brought this about? Like, what gave you guys this idea?
It's kind of spur of the moment, actually. We'd been running our waffles for the breakfast special, and we just thought, what if we throw this in the fryer? You know, you can't go wrong with some fried food. We're known for our fried food, so we just tossed it in one day and we thought, wow, this
really
tastes
good.
just like a funnel cake.
Absolutely.
Let's throw it out there and see what people say.
See, and I grew up. Sorry, I'm talking my mouthful. That's awful. I grew up with a grandma who literally made homemade waffles. Like she had a Mickey Mouse waffle iron and everything. So we had this entire thing almost on every Sunday, and that reminds me of her waffles. Damn near right there.
That's awesome.
So this is
awesome.
Homemade, fantastic. If you like funnel cakes, I mean, if you go to Six Flags or anything, I know a lot of people love the funnel cake place on the way out.
Yep.
Dude,
That'll put up
come
a fight right there.
To Brunchfest and get Gma's
Absolutely.
waffles.
That's what I'm
straight up.
tasting right there, man. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I apologize. I have to come back to life here a little bit. You
Locked
sent me
out?
back to when I was a kid, man. That was nuts. So talk about, you guys don't do breakfast very often over there, right?
No, we actually just started about 2 weeks ago.
Did you really? Okay,
Yep.
what brought that about?
We wanted to have a little bit more variety and everything, kind of get people in earlier in the morning, get them going. We're only doing it on the weekends for the game, so we can get people in, let them get their seats before the games start going, give them a little sugar to get them started, get them hyped for the games and everything.
Absolutely.
And then when lunch comes, get your wings, get your pizzas, get your burgers, and enjoy it.
So
just party the whole time.
Just a question that popped up in my head. Obviously, with the way life is right now, eggs and all of this are getting ridiculously expensive. How do you really combat that? Do you guys kind of steer away from egg-based stuff, or like do you just kind of lean into it and say, you know what, the best quality food's the best quality food, we're just going to pay for it?
Exactly. You just kind of got to go with the flow. You can't go wrong with eggs. Nothing's better than a over easy egg in the morning. That's my go-to.
Too as well. They're on big decline eggs now.
Are they really?
Usually run for a 15 dozen. Usually run 23 to 28. They're about 27, 26, 29 line price. So we're back off that big.
Are you?
High.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And obviously, you being with US Foods, I would assume
is our connection.
Obviously,
I'm the chicken
everything.
baby slayer, dude. We're talking 7, 8 eggs in the morning.
Golly, well, I mean, you got to keep the muscle going. See, come on, man. Got to keep the pump, you know?
Got to have the eggs.
Get your protein in the morning.
The sidebar here, how is everything with US Food? How are you guys doing with all this inflation and stuff like that? I think eggs are coming down, but how's everything
if I was
else?
to look through the whole market, we're really having a tough time with the beef market right now, just because we halted exports and there was a ton of supply. Well, when we ramped up with exporting, they drained that supply. So it's just the beef market's a little bit tough, but generally overall, I think the market's really, really healthy.
Is it?
To me, extremely healthy. Chicken, pork, eggs, commodity items. I mean, we have a little bit with cod and halibut just due to the tariffs, but really it's not bad what I've seen in the past 3 years. It's not really bad at all.
Honestly, I was happy chicken didn't get hit that hard. I'm a big chicken eater.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that was one that kind of escaped somehow. I'm not exactly sure, especially since eggs went away somehow. So obviously you need eggs to get chickens. But like, where has all of this kind of moved? Are we moving more towards like a place of normalcy like we used to be?
Well, I don't want to say that on air and then get,
well, that's fair. No one's gonna
but just from an honest, I'm in the industry and I work a lot of local businesses, extremely blessed to work with them. The market's extremely healthy right now. I mean, we're having a little tough time with export ribeyes. I call them exports, bone ends, and tenderloin beef market, but generally it's a really healthy market right now. I believe. So some other people might disagree, but I'm in the back end of it. So
right. Well, I mean, firsthand. That's why I got to ask you the questions. You're the middleman for all of this, and you would know better than anybody. And obviously, you working with him, does that make you feel better as a restaurant, knowing that we're just going to get back to some sense of normalcy, and you don't have to charge people out the wazoo in order to eat some wings?
Right, exactly.
No, you go to Firehouse, you get a good plate of food.
Absolutely,
huge portion, scratch kitchen, huge portion.
Your potato skins have been a staple for me and my friends for years. By the way, they've been fantastic.
You black out with
a little bit. I'm just saying, I don't need the beer in order to have that. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
That's rad.
But obviously, Brunchfest coming up. I'm gonna tell you right now, you have a for sure winner right here. If I got knocked back to my childhood, I know a lot of people that have the same situation will as well. But what other foods did you want to shout out real quick at Firehouse besides the wings? We all know how good the wings are.
We got our burgers and everything. Our burgers are great. 8-ounce patties. They're really good quality meat. They come stacked.
And you guys do a burger deal, right? Our guy Tyson that does the open mic said that you guys do something on Mondays. It's a burger and fries for like $12 or something of that nature.
Mondays are burger nights and Wednesdays are our pizza nights.
Fantastic. Any other
deals and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, what's the deal on the pizza night now? Now you got me curious.
I believe it's like half price pizzas or something like that. They're little personal pizzas. So you come in, mention that, and you're good to go, and we'll serve you up.
Fantastic.
Nice little personal pizzas. They feed you all the way through.
That's awesome. Any other big deals that you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, if you come in on Saturday, Sunday, and let people know that you heard us on the radio, we'll give you 25% off your breakfast orders.
Well, look at that. Just let them know you heard them on the early bird special, and you'll get a little special for your dang self.
Yep, nice and early.
Well, that's awesome, sir. Thank you so much. One more time, let everybody know where Firehouse is, where they can go get this fantastic food and this fantastic breakfast on the weekends.
So we have 2 locations, one off 7701 White Lane. That's our smaller, more like exclusive kind of home style bar feel. And then we got our massive location off Callaway, and that's at 2905 Callaway. That's our Rosedale station. It is the place to go for anything sports wise. It is beautiful location, beautiful food, beautiful entertainment.
And you know what? This is a sports show, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. Big sports fan, I take it?
Oh, yeah.
Who do you follow?
I'm a 49ers guy,
are
actually.
You?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are the home of the 49ers. We
are the 49ers
family,
sense. Definitely.
For all of you Niner faithful, if you don't go to the Rosedale area, you're missing out. And I think Charger fans is reserved for White Lane. So
Yep.
don't go to the
Chargers.
wrong one expecting to be amongst your friends.
Hey, we'll accommodate them all, but Chargers, you go to White Lane, you show up.
I'm
you
just
are
saying.
a great crowd. But
That's
49ers.
Awesome. So how do you feel about your Niners? I mean, you guys obviously banged up injury-wise, but you have to feel a little good. You're still winning games.
Yeah.
Mac Jones looks fantastic.
Absolutely. Purdy's doing great this year. It's a great team. I'm really proud of them.
Absolutely.
They're knocking it out of the park this year.
You think this is going to be the year you guys sneak into the Super Bowl again and maybe win at home? I mean, it is in Santa Clara.
It very might possibly be. We're all crossing our fingers for
I'm
it.
going to tell you right now, if you guys end up in the Super Bowl, I better see some massive deal at Firehouse.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all I'm
you
saying.
know
There'll be
it.
some big old party
you
over there.
know it.
Awesome. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time. Jeff, thank you for coming in
man,
as
always a
well, my
pleasure
friend.
seeing
Anything
you,
you
man.
want to high out or shout out from US Foods?
I have nothing on my mind right now. Just
Outside of Brunchfest on site?
outside of Brunchfest, we'll knock it out and go out there and have fun. And
Yes, sir.
How
super
many,
blessed, man.
just out of curiosity, how many restaurants are you, do you help that are a part of Brunchfest? Because I know you're attached to a lot of these
You know,
guys.
it's several. I think it's, God, I have to get with you. I think it's SIG. I don't know. It's between 4 and 10. I can't say the number right now, but it's extremely fun. It's a cool event. Everyone gets to get out there and see the restaurants and eat their food. And
I
be
keep telling
engulfed
these
in it.
guys, man, if you need a little bit of brownie points with the missus, take her to Brunchfest.
Yeah,
you
man,
will
they're out
walk
there.
out of there
Oh, yeah.
happy.
Also mimosas and Bloody Marys.
You
and
can't go wrong. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
homemade
get yourself a
waffle, funnel cake waffle.
you know?
waffles.
It's going to be hard to beat. I'm telling you. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Always good
We will
seeing you,
talk
man.
to you guys soon. I promise. And we would love to have you back on, talk about all things Firehouse whenever you're
Absolutely.
available.
I'd love to. Anytime you guys want me, I'll be here.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much. We got to take a break, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Final segment of the day here on the Early Bird Special, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I want to thank our guys from Firehouse. Adam Hannibal clearly is not Hannibal Lecter. Calm down. And our guy Jeff from US Foods. I'm telling you right now, I'm fighting not taking a bite of this again. It's so good. You got to go down to Brunchfest. Try this for yourself. The funnel cake waffle, and it is the only place you're going to be able to try it. So get your tickets right now, or you can win them from us right here on the Early Bird Special. We got a quick caller real quick before we get to our final topic of the day, this Kyren Lacy thing. I have to get into this before we get out of here. But who we got, Spark?
Dave.
Mr. Dave, how are you, sir?
Good morning, guys. Hey, great segment with the Firehouse. Great weekend for sports between the baseball playoffs and all football, college and pro. But just the officiating last night or yesterday on the Philadelphia game, the linebackers trying to keep that guy from rolling over and getting the first down. I don't think he was.
I know exactly what play you're talking about, and I believe they were flagged for excessive or unsportsmanlike stuff. And to be honest with you, I agree with you, but at the same time, Dave, there's way too many of these bang plays in football that lead to some serious injuries. We saw a guy got rolled up on over the weekend as well. Actually, and I can't believe that was still a thing. So there are just moments where these referees have to throw it just to save their own.
I know. And I see by the letter of the law, they have to throw that flag.
Absolutely.
How about the pass interference at the second to last play where the guy's holding on to the wide receiver for Philadelphia?
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. How do you feel about your Dodgers tonight?
I feel lucky that we got a win. I think Ohtani's great, but I'd rather see just his bat more than his pitching. You know what I'm saying? I think 5 strikeouts or whatever he had. But, I mean, hey, the Hernandez family came through,
Oh, 100%.
And Teoscar. So I feel good. We're hitting the ball well, but, man, Seattle looks good. Toronto looks good. Either if the Dodgers face either one of those guys in the World Series, hopefully, it could be a great World Series.
Well, you're in a great spot right now. I know traditionally the team that wins the first game is the one who wins the entire series. So we will see if they are able to take a 2-game lead over the Phils. But I have a feeling that this one's going to go 5. I don't know exactly who's walking out of it, but I'm glad to hear there's another Dodger fan that's not, living in Delulu thinking you guys have already won the World Series.
No. It's one game at a time, one pitch at a time. You can't make a call on anything, especially with some of the umpires. Oh my God, some of the calls where there were obvious strikes and they call them balls, or obvious balls where they call them strikes. And I don't know how some of these players don't lose their heads sometimes.
This is why we need ABS. I'm telling you, the automatic balls and
way.
strikes.
It's on its way. But great show today. My mouth is watering. I feel like I want to go down to the Firehouse.
You got to go try it, Dave. I'm telling you, it's fantastic stuff. We appreciate you listening, sir. I got to let you go so we can get to this Lacy story real quick.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon. Let's get to this final story of the day. For those of you who have been following the show for a while, we talked about this at the time of it happening, but LSU Star Kyren Lacy, the guy who was accused of being a part of a fatal crash back in 2024, lost his entire draft stock because of this, was uninvited from the draft, and pretty much ruined his life, with all of this story coming out. And it's a crazy story that we'll dive into a little bit deeper tomorrow, but a lot of information has come out over the weekend because of this. I want to play this audio real quick. How long is it? About a minute and a half? About a minute. So let's play this real quick and we'll get our thoughts on the other side. This is a lawyer talking about the Kyren Lacy trial and what he was able to find through the affidavits. Now, mind you, again, this accident happened back in December of 2024 during the draft the draft combine. He was removed from the draft and then months later got into an altercation with a family member that the cops were called again through fear of being arrested for that. He actually took his own life after running from the police. And honestly, he was 24 years old. This was 2 days before his grand jury appearance. It was a terrible, terrible story, but we have more information now from this trial in general. So let's hear from the lawyer real quick.
You can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger?
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what's happening. That's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number 1 in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused.
So we do not have nearly enough time for me to actually dive into how all this happens. What he's talking about is after the altercation or the fatal crash that this boy Lacy was blamed for, the cop that was following up on the report went to the driver of the Gold Truck, driver B, the one who did not pass away, and essentially told him to blame Lacy and his Charger for the crash. The video shown from over the weekend, Lacy was not only nowhere close to the crash, he was 73 to 90 feet behind it. Ergo, we got some very, very, very interesting moves here from police blaming an African-American boy who was on his way to stardom in the NFL, all because, who knows? We'll give you more information on tomorrow. I'll be able to dive into it a little bit more. But this story is crazy. It's left me sick to my stomach. And I hate to end the story on this kind of a note, but we had to talk about it at least. But that's all we got for you guys today. Join us back here tomorrow, 7 to 9. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.